What's up guys, and welcome to my channel Flame 4. In this issue of 49 for Build a DeLorean from Back to the Future, we're going to be doing more of those dreaded wires, and we're also going to be installing the seat belts. So I'm quite excited about this one because obviously we've got past issue 48, which was the nightmare one with the wires which wouldn't manipulate into the places that I wanted them to. But now we are now on to getting some real progress. So the first thing you need to do is obviously take out all the wires, make sure they're all there. I was actually missing a couple of the 2-hole tabs, so make sure you have those, because the last thing you want to do is get to this and figure out that you haven't got them. I carried on doing this issue even though I didn't have them, so it's not too much of a major thing. It's just obviously you can't hold the wires down how you want to. The first thing you need to do is install these seat belts. They are quite fiddly, but if you just use a couple of, I think they call them IP screws that hold them down. My seat belts did break, so there is a bit of an issue there as well. Where I installed the seat belts later on in the next issues, when you move the seat backwards and forwards, just a bit of a heads up, be careful, because the seat can catch the seat belt and break it. But look, there you go, there it is, lovely. In all its glory before it got broken, and they actually look pretty good. They look like seat belts. Once the seats are in, they do look great. So they're quite easy to do. So all you got to do is line those up, and then just obviously put the 2 IP screws in there, and then that is that for that section. But they're very detailed. This is the screwdriver that I use, just in case you're obviously interested in what screwdrivers I use to do them up, just because my normal one wouldn't do them up as well. So I went on to this one to, just to achieve that tightness that I wanted. Don't do them up too tight, because obviously you don't want to break them. Right, so we're moving on to just basically feeding these wires through. So what you need to do is you need to gather up the wires into a bundle. I'll just quickly figure out which wires we're moving through. So we're still working on the passenger side, because obviously this is left-hand drive. You just want to fold them through. I kind of twist mine so they look kind of like all together, and then I just feed them through there. So just make sure they're coming through the back of the dash like that. So if yours looks like that, then obviously you know you're going the right way. Also, you want one of those black wires in there as well, just as you see it in there. I do obviously use wire and not the cable ties to hold these all together, because obviously for me, the wires in the diagram, when they first shown you the DeLorean, they used wires wrapped around. So I want to keep it to that, and that's just sort of like how I want to do it. I do use cable ties to kind of hold it in place to start with, but they are cut off at the end, so they're not always used. Right, so you need to just make sure you get these wires bunched up together, and then obviously they do feed in the back section there. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but on the back section, you kind of like feed them through how it tells you in the book. And in one of the sections on step 11 on this issue, it tells you to connect the cables all together and use the cable ties to tie it up. And I do that. As you can see here, I'm just going to show you a quick detailed view of how I do it. So the garden wire, all you do is kind of twist it around as much as you can with your fingers, because obviously you're very limited to how much you can push without actually piercing your skin, because remember, we are human and we're actually made of blood and skin and tissue, so we need to use these long nose pliers. So as you can see, I just kind of manipulate the wire around the wires there without obviously breaking them. Kind of just squeeze them together, and I'm just going to give you a nice look at it once I've finished, just so you can have a see how detailed and how better it looks than using the cable ties. So there you go, just take that cable tie off there, because that one was just holding them in place just so they didn't move around. And then I'll just bring it in close. So as you can see, wrapping the wires around to me just looks a lot better than having cable ties around it. And it looks smarter, and it looks a lot neater, I think so anyway. And as you can see, where I've put them and where they go is where they've got to stay. If you want to, you can use glue dots. I didn't use glue dots on this section just because I didn't feel the need for it. Once the seats are in place, they stay there absolutely fine. There's not too much manoeuvring to do on those. They will stay in place, which is good, because that's what we want. We want the wires to go how they go in the issues. Like I said, I can't show you too much of the back bits where the wires fold in and I push them down and hold them into place. The reason being is obviously because I was missing a couple of those sections where it holds it together. I do want to show you kind of where it shows you on step 11 to connect all the cables together and use cable ties, that if you do that same process but just use the wires and just, you know, just take your time and do it, but a little bit of detail to this is just going to come a long way. Look, it just looks so much better than having a cable tie wrapped around. To me, I mean, it's my personal preference. You might just think, well, you know what, cable tie looks absolutely fine. But to me, see there where I've twisted the wires and I've added the black cable, it just, to me, just looks a lot neater. It looks more professional than anything really. And that kind of end needs to, you need to make sure that that block end that you can see needs to be kind of sitting out the back, just because that does actually plug into something at a later date. Let's just go ahead and install that real quick just so you can see, and then we'll give you another detailed look at the finished project on this issue, and then we will be wrapping things up. Right, so here you go. So this is what it's meant to look like. I mean, on the left there, obviously I'm missing the bit where it holds it down, but that's not an issue. So you've got the two wires coming through there. They're all held down and now kept into place. And then we'll just flip it around in a moment just so you can have a look at the rest of it. And then obviously those two wires that are gone through there, they run down that side. So if your cables look like this, you want to have cables running down the driver's side like so in this issue, and then obviously the other cables bunched up together down the other side like that. So if yours looks like that, then obviously you're on the right track, guys. This has been a great issue. I really enjoyed doing this one. It didn't take as long as issue 48, and it just makes it come together. You know, it makes it look like a real, authentic DeLorean, and I like that. I like that about this build. So I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Please stay tuned and join me for the next issue, which is going to be the driver's seat. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you guys tune in for the next one. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.